Hello everyone, and welcome to the 8th episode of the Britain and Ireland in OpenTTD. We're starting off here with the Devon and Kingscourt Railway, just building a branch line from Dublin up to Devon. And then from here the Dublin, Wicklow and Wexford Railway, building a branch line to Chile, if that's how it's pronounced. I've been working on this episode, just recording it here and there for the past few months. I've actually been really busy. Life's just getting busier in general, so I'm having to... Unfortunately, a lot of things do come before OpenTTD. Oh, and that's the Exeter and Exmouth Railway, and the Exeter and Exmouth, the North Devon and the Birkenhead Extension Railway being absorbed by the London South Western, the East Grinstead Railway being absorbed by the London Brighton South Coast, the Boston, Sleaford and Midland Counties being absorbed by the Great Northern Railway. And then this is the Central Wales Railway, opening between Knighton and Llandudno, just extending their Knighton branch. Anyway, as I was saying, unfortunately a lot of things in life do become before OpenTTD. I definitely can't do this full time. I wish I could though. Northeastern Railway bringing a branch line to Otley. At the same time absorbing the Cleveland Railway. And then the Perth and Dunkeld Railway, the Inverness-Perth and Junction Railway, and the Inverness and Aberdeen Junction Railway merging into the newly formed Highland Railway. And then this is the Bristol Port Railway opening between Avonmouth and Hotwells on the outskirts of Bristol. And this is the Andover and Redbridge Railway opening from near Romsey, which is near Southampton, up to Andover. And then the Great Eastern extending their Lawton branch line up to Ongar through Epping. And then this is the Formartine and Buchan Railway extending to Fraserburgh. Fraserburgh? Is it Fraserburgh or is it Fraserburgh? I'm going to assume it's Fraserburgh. And this is the Greenock and Wemyss Bay Railway, building a branch line off the Greenock branch down to Wemyss Bay. And the Belfast, Holywood and Bangor Railway opening from Holywood to Bangor. And the Northeastern extending from Market Weighton to Beverley. And this is the Llangollen and Corwin Railway opening from Llangollen to Corwin, where it links up with the line down to Rhyl. And then this is the Clonenny Railway, building a branch line from Llandalo to Carmarthen. I still have some cold on me, which is why my voice might sound a little bit still stuffy. Anyway, this is the London Brighton South Coast, running a small branch line from Sutton to Epsom Downs. And this is the South Devon and Lordstown Railway, opening from the current end of the line at Tavistock up to Lordstown. And this is the Rumney Railway, which was originally opened as a small tramway, but now it's being, at this date, which is June 1865, being converted to steam. And the Great Eastern, building a branch line from Great Shelford to Haverhill. and the West Hartlepool Harbour and Railway being absorbed by the Northeastern, and then the Crieff Junction Railway being absorbed by the Scottish Central, as well as the Dunblane, Dawn and Callander. And the Highland Railway building a branch line to Aberfeldy near Loch Tay, and from here I put a bus service in down to Kenmere, where a small ferry will take passengers along Loch Tay to Killen. The Monkland Railways have finally been absorbed by the Edinburgh and Glasgow. And the Bridge of Weir Railway being absorbed by the Glasgow South Western. The Garston and Liverpool Railways were absorbed into the Cheshire Lines Committee, which is jointly owned by the Great Northern, the Midland and the Great Central. The Manchester, Sheffield and Lincolnshire. This episode's going fast. That's the Southeastern Railway, extending from Hill-Green to Chislehurst, near St Mary Cray. Then back down into Devon for the South Devon and Tavistock Railway being absorbed into the South Devon. It's a small branch line called the Ogmore Valley. This is the Crystal Palace and South Junction London Railway. No, it isn't, sorry, I'm lying to you. Yes, it is. That's the Crystal Palace and South London Junction Railway. Opening from near Brixton, along to Nunhead and then down to Crystal Palace. Meant as a competing line into London to compete with the Brighton Main Line. And the Great Eastern, extending from Haverhill to Sudbury and from Long Melford into Bury St Edmunds, which is linking up a few of its lines in Suffolk and Cambridgeshire. And this is the Otley and Ilkley Joint Railway, opening from Otley and Ilkley, as well as a line down to link up with the Midland, because the Otley and Ilkley Joint Railways are jointly owned by the Midland Railway and the Northeastern Railway, to give them both access from Leeds to Ilkley. The Castle Douglas and Dumfries and the Kirkcudbright Railway have both been absorbed into the Glasgow South Western. And the Edinburgh and Glasgow Railway has been absorbed by the North British, and the Scottish Central Railway has finally been absorbed into the Caledonian, which gives them a lot of control over central Scotland. The Rutherglen and Coatbridge Railway opening between Rutherglen and Airdrie. Excuse me. Yeah, you're gonna have to get used to that for this episode, unfortunately. This is the Hatfield and St Albans Railway, opening from a branch line off from Hatfield into St Albans Abbey. And this is the Weymouth and Portland Railway, opening from Melcombe Regis, which is near Weymouth, down to Portland. And then this is the Alton, Aldershot and Winchester Railway, opening from Alton down through New Alresford into Winchester, today known as the Watercress Line. And the the Horsham and Guildford Direct Railway, opening between Guildford and Horsham. And the Northeastern Railway extending from Castletown to Gromond, where it links up with the Whitby branch. And this is the Barracuda Railway, opening from Duns to St Boswells. And this is the Montrose and Bervie Railway, opening from Montrose to Inverbervie. And the Saffron-Walton Railway opening from Audley End on the West Anglia main line up to Bartlow. And the North London Railway building a line down into London Broad Street. This is the Llanelli Railway, extending from down into its own station in Swansea, called Swansea Victoria. Here we have the Stockport and Woodley, the Stockport, Timperley and Altrincham Junction Railway opening from Stockport, Tiviot Dale and Altrincham. And a bunch of small railways in Cheshire all merging into the Cheshire Lines Committee, which I mentioned earlier. Moving on into January 1866. The Midland Great Western Railway extends from Claremorris up to completing its main line up to Westport. So now this Midland Great Western Railway has 3 main lines from Dublin out to Galway, Westport and Sligo. This is the Anglesey Central Railway opening from Garwan to Llanach. And then this is the Wrexham, Mold and Connors Quay Railway opening from Wrexham down up to Buckley, where it links up with the Buckley Railway. Actually, I had to move the entire town of Wrexham there because I placed it in a slightly wrong place. I also found a new town there. Hope in Flintshire, not to be confused with Hope in Derbyshire. This is the Manchester and Milford Railway opening from Pencarder to Lampeter. Now the goal of the Manchester and Milford Railway was to begin at the Cambrian Railway up near Newtown and work its way all the way down to Carmarthen. This is the Bishop's Castle Railway opening from Craven Arms to Bishop's Castle. Then the West Cornwall Railway was absorbed by the has run out of money and has been absorbed by the Great Western Railway, the South Devon and the Bristol and Exeter. Also, because those 3 companies together kind of formed a committee called the Relevant Companies, I believe it was called. This is the Great Eastern Railway extending from Wivenhoe to Wheeley. And the Busby Railway opening from Pollokshaws down to East Kilbride. This is the West Riding and Grimsby Railway opening from Doncaster up to Wakefield Westgate, which gives the Great Northern that direct link from Wakefield down to Doncaster without having to use the Lancashire and Yorkshire. That's the Cheshire Lines Committee extending from Woodley to Godley, just a small little link there. Peterborough Crescent Station's closed and now all the Midland trains are instead using Peterborough North. This is the Kettering, Thrapston and Huntingdon Railway opening from Kettering and Huntingdon East Station. And then this is the Ely, Haddenham and Sutton Railway. Just a small branch from Ely to Sutton. And then this is the Wivenhoe and Britaish Railway, opening between, well, Wivenhoe and Britaish. Then there's the Whitehaven, Clearter and Egremont Railway, extending from Branthwaite to Marron Junction near Cockermouth. And this is the Crieff and Methven Junction Railway, extending the line from near Crieff down up to, from near Methven up to Crieff. And then this is the Northampton and Banbury Junction Railway, building a branch line from Blisworth down to Towcester. Or Toaster, is it? And this is the Cork and Macroom Direct Railway, opening from Cork Albert Quay to Macroom. Also at the same time, we have the West Cork Railway, opening from Bandon to Dunmanway. And the Enniskillen and Bundoran Railway, opening from Bundoran Junction near Bundoran through Ballyshannon to Bundoran. The original goal of this line was to reach Sligo, however they ran out of funds so had to reduce their scheme. Now we just have a small branch line called the Galashiels, Innerleithen and Peebles Railway, opening from Galashiel up to Peebles, where it links up with the line from Peebles down into Edinburgh. The Hoylake Railway, opening from West Kirby to Birkenhead Park. And this is the Midland Railway, extending from Evesham up to Redditch, linking two small branch lines it has into a big loop line. The Merthyr Tredegar and Abergavenny Railways were absorbed into the London North Western. And this is the Moreton Hampstead and South Devon Railway, opening from Newton Abbot up to Moreton Hampstead. And the Whitehaven Furness Junction Railway has been absorbed by the Furness Railway. Just going to turn up volume up slightly. And the Great North of Scotland has absorbed several railways in the area, such as the Alford Valley Railway and the Keith and Dumpstow Railway and the Strathspey Railway. And this is the... I've lost it. Where is it? Oh yeah, it's the London North Western extending from Stockport into Altrincham. Then this is the Potteries, Shrewsbury and North Wales Railway, opening from Shrewsbury Abbey to Clanny Blodwell, which is it actually opened to a bunch of quarries in Nantmar, but they never have a station. The original plan was to go, instead of Shrewsbury, to go all the way into Manchester, but they never reached that. This is the Spalding and Bourne Railway. Pretty self-explanatory. However, this one and the Lynn and Sutton Bridge Railway have merged together into the Midland and Eastern Railway. And then this is the Peterborough, Wisbech and Sutton Bridge Railway, opening from Peterborough North to Sutton Bridge through Wisbech. Oh, is it Wisbech? That doesn't sound good at all. My throat is still very clogged, so I apologise for my voice again. This is the West Norfolk Junction Railway, opening from Heacham near Hunstanton up to Wells. London, Brighton and South Coast Railway is building the South London line from London Bridge through Peckham and Brixton into London Victoria. And then this is the Neath and Brecon Railway, extending from Onllwyn to Brecon. Looks like my recording was quite off for this bit, so I apologise. I think I noticed in a few minutes. This is the Taunton and Chard Railway, opening from Taunton down to Chard. Then this is the Isle of Wight Railway, extending from Shanklin to Ventnor. Excuse me. This is the Southeastern Railway, building it's extending its line from London Bridge into Cannon Street to give them more central access to the city centre. And then the London and South Western, just building a branch line from Weybridge up to Virginia Water through Chertsey to give itself another loop line of suburban services, like a balloon shape. And this is the London, Brighton and South Coast, extending from East Grinstead to Tunbridge Wells through Groombridge. And this is the Birkenhead Railway, building a branch line from Hooton to Parkgate. Then this is the Manchester, Sheffield and Lincolnshire Railway, extending its line from Althorpe to Barnsley, where it links up with the line into Grimsby, completing another main line for this company. This is the Aboyne and Braemar Railway, opening from Aboyne but only to Baleta. They wanted to extend the line further, however the Royal Estate is just north in the valley, just above the valley there, so they couldn't require they didn't get the permissions. The Blaine Valley Railway, opening from Lennoxtown up to Cologne. Then there's the Salisbury and Dorset Junction Railway, opening from Salisbury and Westmoreland, which is near Ringwood. And then this is the Central Wales Extension Railway, opening from Llandudno down to Llandovery, linking up those two lines in Mid Wales. Running through several spa towns in the area, which I'm representing with those hotels. This is the Rathkeale and Newcastle Junction Railway, opening from near Limerick down into Newcastle West. Then the Waterford and Kilkenny Railway, extending from Kilkenny to Maryborough. the Wickham Railway has been absorbed by the Great Western. Now we have the Manchester, Sheffield and the Sheffield and Midland Committee opening from Marple to Hayfield, and also a section of line from Marple up to Hyde being transferred to the new joint company. Now you'll see why the Midland has paid for this in a few minutes, as the Midland Railway is extending from Millardale up to New Mills, so it now has its own line from Derby into Manchester, using the joint railway from the Great Western. Sorry, not the Great Western, the Great Central. Not the Great Central, sorry, the Manchester, Sheffield and Lincolnshire, I'll get there eventually. The Caledonian building a branch line from Carstairs to Dolphinton. This is the Horsham, Dorking and Leatherhead Railway, opening from Leatherhead down to Dorking. Except I accidentally built it all the way down to Horsham because I just got carried away. This is the Bristol and Portishead Railway, opening from near Bristol Temple Meads up to Portishead. And this is the Stourbridge Railway, opening from Stourbridge Junction to the Hawthorns, which is near Birmingham city centre. Running through Smerwick and Old Hill. And that's actually the junction that gives the station name of Stourbridge Junction its name. The Great Eastern building a branch line from Mellis to Eye, just a small, simple country branch line. And the Great Northern Railway extending from Lincoln down to Honington, which is near Grantham. And this is the Furness and Midland Junction Railway, which is just a short line from Clonfert to Wellington to link those two companies. The Great Eastern extending from Wheelie to Walton on the Naze. And the Anglesey Central Railway finally completing its line up to Alnwick. And the Maryport and Carlisle Railway building a branch line from Bulgill to Brigham. And this is the... I don't know, I think I missed what that was. However, I believe this is the Great Northern Railway building extending from Gainsborough Lee Road into Doncaster. Also, just before that, I wasn't sure that was the Grangemouth Railway being absorbed into the Caledonian. That's the London, Brighton and South Coast Railway building a branch line to Hayling Island. And this is the Edgegate, Highgate and London Railway opening from Finsbury Park near King's Cross up to Edgware. Which is today part of the Northern Line. And this is the Stamford and Essendine Railway extending from its terminus in Stamford down to Wandsworth Junction. and the Manchester and Milford Railway extending from its northern end from Aberystwyth down to Strata, Florida. And the Cambrian Railway is building a branch line from Dovey Junction up to Barmouth. Now, of course, that includes the Barmouth Bridge, even if it was just small. The Northeastern building a branch line from Hexham up to Allendale. And the Great North of Scotland absorbing more branch line companies. Great Northern Railway extends from Spalding to March, because March is a key link into East Anglia. London North Western building a small branch line from Wolverton to Newport Pagnell, and also down to Ebbvale Town, and from Huddersfield to Kirkburton. This is the Carnarvonshire Railway opening from Carnarvon and Pennygroves. Sorry, it went all the way down to... Yes, no, ignore me. The Cambrian Railway building a branch line up to Dolgellau, and also at the same time up all the way up to Pwllheli, completing the Cambrian coastline. And also at the same time, that Carnarvonshire Railway also extends down to Afon Wen Junction to link up with the Cambrian coastline. This is the Wellington and Drayton Railway opening from Wellington up to Market Drayton by the Great Western Railway. And then this is the Midland Railway building a branch line from Duffield to Wirksworth. This is the North Staffordshire Railway extending a branch line from Stoke up to Leek. And also a line from Sandbach through Middlewich up to Northwich. Now we have a new station in Aberdeen. Aberdeen Waterloo and Aberdeen Guild Street Station have both closed, and they've both been replaced by a new joint station called Aberdeen Joint. The Waterford and Kilkenny Railway was renamed to the Waterford and Central Ireland Railway, and the Torway and Brixham Railway is opening from Churston to Brixham. The London and South Western Railway is building a branch line down to Seaton. And the Swansea Rail Railway is completing its line up to Brinnaman. This is the Southeastern Railway extending from Chislehurst down to Sevenoaks through Orpington. The Northeastern Railway is building its Team Valley line through Chesley Street down to Durham from Gateshead. And also extending from near Bladen up to Concert, to give a more direct link from Concert down to Newcastle. and also extending from Nunthorpe to Battersby to link up with the Cleveland Railway. This is the Southerland Railway, opening from Ardgate to Gosby. And this is the Corwin and Bala Railway, extending the line from Corwin all the way up to Bala. This is the Metropolitan and St John's Wood Railway, just building a branch line off the Metropolitan Railway up to St John's Wood. Southeastern Railway is extending from Sevenoaks down to Tonbridge, which gives it a new direct main line which bypasses Redhill. And Great Northern Railway building a branch line to Spilsby. And the Tees Valley Railway, just a branch line from Barnard Castle up to Middleton and Teesdale. The North British Railway, building a branch line from Salton to South Queensferry. And the Pembroke and Tenby Railway, extending its line from Tenby into Whitland, where it links up with the main line. This is the Tottenham and Hampstead Junction Railway, opening from Gospel Oak through to Tottenham. Which is the beginnings of what's now called the Goblin Line. And the London, Brighton and South Coast Railway, extending from Uckfield up to Groombridge, where it links up with the line into Tunbridge Wells. And the Bala and Dolgelly Railway, opening from Bala along down to Dolgelly, where it links up with the branch line to Barmouth. And the Breaker and Merthyr Junction Railway, extending from Pant down to Pengam, where it links up with the Romney Railway. Midland Railway, building a branch line from near Derby down to Melbourne. This is the Aylesbury and Buckingham Railway, opening from Aylesbury Joint all the way up to Verney Junction. And this is the London, Brighton and South Coast Rail, building a new suburban line from Peckham Rye down through Mitcham down to Sutton. But at the same time, the Tooting, Merton and Middlesbrough Railway have opened from not Middlesbrough, Wimbledon. From Wimbledon through Tooting to Selhurst, I think it is. And the Metropolitan Railway extending from Paddington down to South Kensington. Excuse me. Now to end off 1868, the Midland Railway is building its main line from Bedford down into London St Pancras to give it independent access to London, so it doesn't have to use the Great Northern Railway. Which is quite important because obviously this is the Midland main line essentially completed, and also the creation of St Pancras Station. Find the rest of my voice a little bit. Oh, and you just got it back yesterday, a couple of days ago. Also, at the same time, they built a small branch line called the Dudding Hill Line. This is going into 1869. We have the Lostwithiel and Fowey Railway opening from Fowey down to from Lostwithiel down to Fowey. And the Midland Railway building a branch line from Trent Junction down to Weston. And this is the London South Western building a branch line from Richmond to Kensington Olympia to link up with the West London line. And the Great Eastern Railway extending from Bishop's Stortford to Braintree. No, I'm looking in the wrong place. This is the Wharton and Swaffham Railway, and this is the Great Eastern extending from Bishop's Stortford to Braintree. This is the Downpatrick, Dundrum and Newcastle Railway opening from Downpatrick to Newcastle through Dundrum in County Down. And then this is the London North Western Railway building a branch line from Acton Bridge through Runcorn to Ditton Mill near Widnes, which is its direct line from Crewe to Liverpool, bypassing Warrington and Earlstown. Then this is the Furness Railway building a branch line from Ulverston to Lakeside on Lake Windermere. Then this is the Methley Joint Railway opening just a small link line. But it's jointly owned by the Great Northern Railway, the Northeastern Railway and the Lancashire and Yorkshire Railway. This is the Severn and Wye Railway opening from Lydney to Cinderford. The South Devon and Lordstown Railway has been absorbed by the South Devon Railway. And this is just a small branch line up to Clanberis by the London North Western. And the Lancashire and Yorkshire building a branch line up to Melton, and the Caledonian Railway extending, building its line called the Shotts Line from Uddingston through Shotts to Kirknewton, which gives it a bit of a more direct Edinburgh to Glasgow line, and I said Liverpool to Manchester. And this is the Macclesfield, Bollington and Marple Railway, opening from near Romiley, which is near Marple, through to Macclesfield as a joint railway between the North Staffordshire Railway and the Manchester, Sheffield and Lincolnshire. This is the Waterford and Limerick Railway, extending from Ennis to Claremorris. And this is the Mould and Denbigh Junction Railway, opening from Denbigh and Mould. I think I missed some footage there, but it wasn't much. It was just the Midland Railway building a branch line to Bath. This is the West Cheshire Railway, opening from Northwich down to Helsby. And this is the Solway Junction Railway, opening from from the collieries down at near Aspatria, across the Solway Firth, through Annan up to Kirtlebridge on the West Coast Main Line. The Northeastern Railway is building a branch line from Thorn to Gilberdyke, which gives us a direct line from Doncaster to Goole, and then up through Goole to Hull. And as we're finishing off this episode, this is the Lancashire Union Railway, opening from Blackburn to St Helens through Wigan. And then next we'll have the Greenock and Ayrshire Railway, opening between the bridge of Wear and Greenock, to give the Glasgow South Western independent access to Greenock. And with that, I want to thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.